I learned to do it probably about 18 months ago, and I'm not a professional at all. So we'll just run through some ideas. You're welcome to put questions in the chat. Dylan will probably help with that, or if we don't get to you, we'll save the chat and then come back to it. But yeah, so we'll head off and start this shortly. But yeah, thanks so much for joining us. Can you hear us all okay? Yep. I'm not speaking too fast. I tend to sometimes whoosh straight off. No? Excellent. Thanks, Bindi. I got a thumbs up. Wonderful. All right. So we've got like 20 people here. So we might just start the process now. A quick sort of lesson, for want of a better word, on storyboards and what they actually are. Storyboards are a way to create a product with multiple images within the one product. So something like, I'm just going to reach back. Not sure if it's going to focus, but when we come back, you'll get the general gist of it. I got tech support coming. So this is a 9-up frame. Sorry, we're just going to make it probably a little bit clearer. There we go. So this is a 9-up frame, and this particular frame, each print is individually matted by this gap around here. So this white space that we're seeing here is an actual mat. And you can do a storyboard layout. What we're focusing on today is picture framing, but you could use this layout for wood prints, for canvases, metal prints, anything where you want to have the option to give your client more images on one print. Reasoning behind that is that it's a great way to upsell your clients. If they say, I've only got space for one print on my wall, you can use this as a tool to get more of your images to your clients. They can be used as a great option to create a generational storyboard. So if you're doing families, they can have multiple images in one frame, and then over the years, they can add to it with a similar look and a similar collection, and then it can become that really lovely sort of talking piece on their wall that they have these beautiful generation prints. I was going to take a photo this morning. I've done that at home because we've run out of wall space, but that's what we've created. We created storyboards from our photo shoot each year. We put highlights in it, and then it allows us to sort of add to that collection as we go along. What we're going to step through today is I'm going to actually share a Photoshop screen of creating a 9-up template, which we see is probably one of the most popular options that people ask for. I'll do it nice and slow. If at any time I am going too fast, just wave at me or put something in the chat to slow down. But I will step through each process of what we're doing. We are recording this, so you can come back to it and look at it at another stage. But yeah, so we will jump across to Photoshop. Like I said, I learned to do this about 18 months ago, so it can be done, and I'm nowhere near a professional. So I'm just going to share my screen with Photoshop so you guys can see everything, and hopefully this goes the way that I want it to. Okay, so we're on Photoshop now. Just triple check. Yep, awesome. So creating storyboards, it all starts with maths, and it's quite a simple maths. It's a logical sequence. So if you're looking to create that 9-up based on a 30-inch print, and you want 3 sets of 3, and you want to get as much as you can out of it, you could work on a 9.5-inch square print, which is what we'll do today, but you could make it any size within there, just knowing it will change the gap in the middle of each print. So to start with, you're going into Photoshop and you're creating a new blank document. I'll just drag this over. And you want it to be your 30 by 30 in inches. Always check that your color mode is in RGB color and your color profile is in RGB. Because you're working on what is going to be a layered project, you want to start with what your print color space is, and we print in Adobe. So this is what you want to set up your collage template in. So once you have your sizing set up and you've got your color spacing correct, you just click on create and it'll open up this white square, which is your blank canvas to start creating. The next thing you're going to do is put in guidelines for each of your prints that you're entering, that you want to pop into it in the collage. So again, you're using the Photoshop option of view, and then you're putting in a new guide. I'll just switch this over. So in the new guide, again, you're working in inches. So we're working as 9.5-inch square prints. So you go 9.5 and then IN for your inch, and then click on OK. This line that you're seeing here, this is the edge of your very first print that'll be in your collage. Now, this is where maths comes into it. And I'll just share my screen on my calculator. So we're working with 9.5-inch prints, and we've got 3 of them. So that gives us a total print area of 28.5 inches. And then from 30 inches, you have 1.5 inch left. That is what you divide by your 2 gaps. So you divide it by 2. And then each gap is 0.75 of an inch. It just means that everything is going to be even. You can use your guide tool to pop them in correctly, and nothing is done by line of sight. You're not having to do it by eye or by guideline or ruler. It's just maths, and you're just entering it as you go along. So what we're going to add next is a guideline for our gap. Working still on the vertical, you're adding 0.75 for this particular one to your 9.5. So your next guideline comes in at 10.25 inches. And this gap here that you can see becomes the white border between each of your prints. And then you do your next guideline, which you're adding 9.5 to this guideline here, because you're now working on the space for your next photo to drop into. So your next one would be at 19.75 inches. I'm not a whiz. I have all these written down so I don't have to keep opening up the calculator. This isn't maths that I'm pulling out of the top of my brain. I am prepared. So then the next guideline we're adding the 0.75 to again. So we're going 20.5 inches. And then you can see now what you've created is 3 columns for your prints to drop into. And we're going to go through and do the same on the horizontal. So our first one is at 9.5. And then the 10.25. I did pixels. That's where you go wrong. Always make sure you're putting inches. And the next guide is at 19.75 inch. And then your next guide is at 20.5 inch. So what you can see now is a basic grid of where your images would be dropped into. Now this is okay to use as it is, but we're going to take it one step further and make it so it's really easy to then drop your photos in without having to crop your photos first before you drop them into the squares. And we're going to create a smart object layer within these spaces here. So you can just double click on that layer and it will open up a separate layer for you to drop your photo in, resize it. You can even edit on that layer and then bring it back across. What I find handy to have is I'm just going to quickly share this across here, is a PSD folder of placeholders, just of very basic sizes that you know you want to use. You just have them kind of set up ready to go. If you don't have that, you can certainly create it in Photoshop, save it down, and then bring it back in. So I've got my 9.5-inch placeholder already set up. And I'm just going to drag the first one into this top left-hand corner, using the guidelines to snap it into place and clicking OK. So this now here becomes our first placeholder that we can use as a smart object to drop our photos into. What you'll notice on your layers window that's over here is there'll be this little square here in the corner. This is your smart object. So if you hover over it, you can see already that it says smart object thumbnail. That is where you double click and it opens up the new layer to drop your photo into. So just close that.
That's how you create those placeholders.
So a handy tip when you're going through, so you can keep an eye on the order that you pop things in, just rename your layers as you go to something that makes sense with you, for you. So this is the top left-hand corner, and that becomes that layer. And you just do the same all the way through, pop them into place in a sequence that works. And I won't worry about renaming each one. It's the same process. To rename, you just double click on the name on the layer and it will rename it to the position that works. So if you're doing your photo layouts, then it's there handy to know which one you're opening up and where it's going to go within the storyboard. Just pop all these in just to give you an idea of the finished look. And sometimes a little bit of preparation, if you know you're selling certain sizes, creating the PSDs of the placeholders, it's easy to have, so you can sort of mock something up ready to go. But this, sorry guys, we back? It just blanked out for a little bit. Okay, let me just bring that back up. A little bit of technical drama there. Okay, so this is what it would look like. It's a bit weird on the background, but Photoshop is still there because we had a little bit of a glitch. But this would be what your template would look like with your layers on the layers column over here. What you then can come to is adding your images into this to create something that you can sell to your client. So you're using your smart object to double click. So I'm just going to quickly open one that I've done before. Might look slightly different, but the same process. This is another 9-up because I didn't save my previous work. But I will share this one to you now. Okay, so we're back. Slightly different, same process. Save our work as we go. So this will be, again, smart objects within here that you can double click on the smart objects window, and I'm hoping it doesn't break Photoshop again. Perfect. So there's two ways you can pop your photo into this smart object. You can go into Photoshop and in File, you can go Place Embedded and then find it on your screen, in your computer, wherever you've saved it. This is all of my tribe. Or you can just drag it across. So if you've already got them culled, you just find it and drag your image into the smart object. As you can see from here, this one is a horizontal image, but we just stretch it out and move it to how we want it to be cropped. So So get these little cute features in, get all of the beautiful bed. Click on the tick to say, yes, we're happy with that crop. And then click on the tab here to close it and say, yes, that we want to save that document. And that will put it into the Photoshop layout for us. Once you have done all of them and you're happy with the layout, you then go up to your image, or sorry, your layer, and you flatten your image. What that does is it takes it from a layered PSD file ready to a print ready JPEG. So I'm just going to close Photoshop for a second and just come back onto normal just to show you what it would look like. So once you've created your storyboard and you're happy with the layout, what you will end up with is a print that looks like this. And this is how they look when we print them for collage layouts in frames. You'll notice we don't have the white border on the edge here. It is directly to the edge of the print, which is exactly what you've just set up in Photoshop. And there's the gap here that you've created in Photoshop, which will be where the matting of the frame comes into play. So the actual mat that you select will cover this and you won't see it once it's mounted, ready to go. So that is how your image will be when you upload it online. We've just gone a little bit fuzzy. That's all right. Everyone needs some blurring every now and then. So that's what you're looking for. If you're looking at it and you think it doesn't look right, that's 100% correct. So that's a real basic way of doing a 9-up in it, and it really does just come down to maths and working out your overall size and the number of images.
With the border and not match the print.
So what I'll do, I noticed that there's a question of can we do it with a border and not a mat? You can. If you wanted to do it with a border and without a mat, with that file that you've created in Photoshop, once it's flattened, just add your canvas to the outside of the image, and this would be the file that you would upload. So this means that you don't have each print individually matted, and you've created a digital collage and a digital border on your prints. So we can do either or. So do we have any other questions?
In that case, you might decide to order as a no matte print on our ordering system and then just have the white border show digitally.
Light up frame? Yep, I can do that, Rosie. So this is a 9-up frame. This one is individually matted between each print. This one's a little bit wider than what we just created in Photoshop. This is a 1-inch gap, but these are smaller prints as well. These are only 6 by 6 from memory, but that's just because that's the space that we had in for the showroom. But that is a 9-up collage. Internal frame size for this particular one, it would have been a 26-inch print that you would create, because these are 6 inches. That's an inch in between. So you've got, sorry, it would be a 20-inch because my math was off. So you've got 6, 6, and 6, and then a 1-inch. So it's 20-inch by 20-inch for this particular one. So when you're working out your overall print size, you always include this gap in the middle. And when you are ordering a framed print, we always start with print size, not outer finish size. That involves a whole bunch of different maths to work backwards. So we always start with the print size that you've created, and whether that's a collage print or a single print, the first option you'll always be asked when you order a print on the frame is what is the size of the actual image. I'm going to do another screen share of how to order a multi-matted print. Again, this is recorded, so you can come back and look at it again, and we'll take more questions. You can email us anything. So I'm just going to open up the BPRO website and I'll share the screen in a second. Okay, so we can see the BPRO screen for ordering. Yeah, awesome. Just checking with my tech support. So once you are logged in, a lot of you have probably already ordered from us, so you might be familiar with the ordering page. If you're not, it's all very easily laid out. You order by product. So picture framing will always be in picture framing. You don't need to order the print separately and then order the frame. You order it all as one bundle. So for picture framing, you select the framing option. You'll be asked to select your file, and our online system can take some rather large files, up to 60 megabyte. So if you're worried about a JPEG being too small, it won't be, it'll be fine. Sorry, I just have to find my folder. So professional. So you upload your file and it'll show you the image that you've created. And this is one that we'll do if you want it as multiple opening mats. Select your overall size that you're after. So 20 inches square. It'll come through and ask you the mold width. Mold width is the actual width of the frame that you're ordering. So we'll just select a 40 mil. Matte color, it's fairly self-explanatory. This part here where it says color, what this relates to is your actual image that you're uploading. So this one is in color. So we select color. Molding color, this is the color of the frame that you're after. Just to show some contrast, I'm going to do this one in black so you can see the difference. This is where you need to indicate to us in the matting style that you have multiple openings within your layout. So you select the standard matting first, and then you say, yes, I have multiple openings on my mat board. And you tell us that you have 9. The next step that you go down to, the mat width here is what's asking for the outer width. So the width of the mat that you want between the print and the actual frame. So we can put 5 here. And then set all the edges, and this generates a proof that will show you your mat border, the gap that you've created. So this here would also be matted, and a proof of what the layout is like. If you look at that and go, oh, I want a smaller mat, then that's too easy. You just come back up here, change the matting, set all sizes, and then it'll generate a new proof. It also builds the cost of the frame as it goes through, and then you're just adding that to cart. We'll do, when this is added through, I'll do another one to show how you can do it with a digital option without the multiple matted. So this is one where you would have used your collage, your storyboard that you've just created in Photoshop, and you've added a white border to the outside because you don't want each print individually matted. As you can see, the difference here is you can already see the white gap or the white mat that you've created, or border that you've created in Photoshop. So that's already there. Again, you're just selecting your print size. We'll do 20-inch again. And we'll do same setup as we did before. So in this one, when you select standard matting, you would say that you have no multiple openings. So we will print that image as it is with the white border on it. You can do one of 2 things here. You can set the mat width as 0, which means we don't put a mat in there at all. And this section here that you're seeing of white is the actual print. Or you can pop in a mat, just a thin mat, but then what you'll see is the matting and then the gap, the border that you've created. So 9 times out of 10, when people don't want any matting, they'll set it as 0 and just have the print to the edge of the frame. And that still looks really quite striking as well. It gives you the option if you wanted to, in this white space, to get creative. You could put a name, you could put a date, details of things like that in it, so you can really personalize it to your client. And then again, you just add that to the cart. And then we print that in that one large collage. And then you have that option there. The one thing you'll notice in terms of ordering, there is a small surcharge for multiple openings. So we selected the same options as a 20-inch print. We've said, yes, there's multiple openings. This one is $186 essentially. And this one without the matting around it is $148. So if you're trying to be a little bit more price conscious for your client, but still give them the option of multiple images within a storyboard, you can order it without the mat as well, just to sort of help meet expectations that they may have in terms of pricing. Have we got any questions? Just checking my chat. Can you cover the outside white border? Yep, if you
No, I'm sure you'll probably do something. Mel, you better just check, Mel.
So if you're wanting a matte border around the outside, you wouldn't add it in Photoshop. You would just upload the file that looks like this, and then we would add the matte board around it. Okay. So this is the one that you would upload if you want the matte on the outside. Yeah. So crop to the edge of the print. This is the one that you would upload if you don't want a matte and you've created your own border. So you would create this in Photoshop and upload it with the white border around the outside. I'm just going to see, how do we make the placeholders you dragged in? Or are they're just a square safe PSD file? So same way that we created the blank template to create our collage on, you just create another new object in Photoshop. I changed mine to a grey background and put text in it so I know what size it is, and then you just save it as a PSD. So you can create a whole bunch of those at different sizes, save them into a folder for easy reference, and then just drag them in. And literally the only reason I do it with a grey colour is so that I can see the difference between the background. And when a photo is being put into the smart object, you can see that you've filled the entire area. Like, you're not going to see any of the grey background. You might want to make them bright pink if that works, again, so you can see that your image has filled the entire place card that you've created.
Is the photo safe in up against the glass oven mat walls, emergency effects over time, and the print stick to the glass? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that's an awesome question. This comes back to one of the questions we get about printing on luster prints versus fine art for frames. A luster print, you will find over time can be affected by humidity under glass. You're essentially creating a product that can heat up, and then you will have the surface of a luster print, which is a tiny little bit more plastic based. It will heat up and swell. Fine art prints that we print on, being a cotton rag paper, they don't have that problem. And there is a very small gap between the frame and the actual print itself, even if there isn't a mat, just that inside the mat there is, inside the frame molding, there is a little lip that we put the print against. So there is a tiny little gap. We never squash the glass right up against the frame. But that's also why we print on fine art paper, because it doesn't react to humidity changes or weather changes. I don't know if anyone has ever seen any old frames that have been around in families for 60, 70 years. and you end up with that glass sticking to the print, that is because it's a gelatin-based plastic print of a luster print. It will react with humidity. So, but our fine arts don't. Yep, so as Dylan just popped in there, there is a couple of mil that we overlap. So if you are creating a layout, just make sure that you don't have heads too close to the top, or little details like this, because they might end up having the mat over the top of them. But really, there's nothing hard and fast that you need to remember when you're creating them. It's just to keep that in mind about the cropping just a little bit. Yeah, and yeah, Dylan's popped in there, setback for no mat as well, if you want something as well, just as a point of difference. Okay, so setback frame, I don't have one handy, but a setback frame is can only be done on our frames that are 20 mil. So they're deeper in the finish. So they're 20 mil here, but they're 40 mil this way. And it creates a window, a gap where we can push the print from the front of the frame, which is what you see here, to the back of the frame, so it's framing, like a shadow. And you can do that as well. Just want to quickly show you. So this is another option of storyboard. So it's a little bit smaller, but this is a great option. Once you sort of understand the basics, this is what you can do with creating your storyboards. This is a 5x7. These are just little 5x4s. So again, once you've worked out your maths of this here is 4 inches, this is 7 inches, this is 4 inches, and these gaps here, and you work out your overall size and your height, then you can create the collage the exact same way. So
Jenny's post display without frog in a teacup still.
So there's options there that you can do to create. Once you understand the basics of it, you can go through and create a storyboard pretty much from any sizing that fits within our framing options.
And maybe just a heads up, please post display without frog in a teacup.
Got any other questions? Have I confused everyone? If we do have templates already created for storyboards. If you would like those to have a look at and open in Photoshop, drop your email into the chat window. We will save this.
Thank you so much, Meagan.
And then we can send you a link to have a look at that. Dylan has popped a little thing in there that if you want to have a try at setting one up, email it through. I'm happy to take a look and put suggestions back to say this is what we would recommend, you're almost there, or this won't quite work for XYZ reasons. But yeah, drop your email in. We'll send you the link to what we have there. We've got a whole bunch of options that you can also use for marketing products. So we'll send you the link for the collages that we've already created that have the smart objects, and our marketing options as well. So then you can use the framing options to create room views and things like that. So you can use them into your marketing products. So I think we're there. So I'll just leave it open for a little bit, let everyone pop their emails in. We will send a recording out of this to everyone who has registered with us. What we'll also probably do there is send you the link just as a bonus of what we already have, give you some really helpful tools. If you've got questions, reply back to me. More than happy to go through it again. Always happy to check things for you if you've created one and you're not sure if you've ordered it the right way. I'm happy to check that. All the team are happy to do this for you. But yeah, I think that's everything. So if there's no other questions, we might sign off and we can all catch up at a later stage. Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Keep an eye out on our Facebook page. We will put another Zoom meeting up for something super exciting, and we're hoping to do these at least once a month. Helps us keep in touch with everyone, and if you've got any ideas for contents for Zoom meetings, let us know. Thanks, guys.